Okay, we're going to discuss the steering wheel hub adapter, the mirror, and kind of why I picked that, and then the canopy quick release pins. Alright, starting with the steering wheel. Actually, let's start with the steering wheel hub. If you look on eBay, you can find a ton of these for all different makes and models of golf cart, not just Yamaha. And they run about $20, so not super expensive. But they come with a standard 5 screw pattern and a standard 6 screw pattern. The 6 screw is going to be a lot more common, and if you look on eBay again, which is where I got both of these items, this is just a standard, you could say, racing steering wheel. I mean, it's really cheap. I think it costs like $15. It's just leather PVC, but these are fun little steering wheels to put on your golf cart. Not so much an actual car. They're a little bit flimsy when you start putting some pressure on them, but overall for a golf cart, it fits perfectly. It feels great to drive, but really simple and easy to install. And there's a lot of videos on how to do that. Probably if you look up your specific golf cart, not just any golf cart. But it's just a big center nut holding it to the driving shaft, and then just 6 little Allen screws to keep the steering wheel on. And they have a lot of videos. I know DIY Golf Carts has a very nice video on how to install it, and they show you how to not punch yourself in the face when taking the old wheel off, and then how to put the new one on. But a tip that I've found that nobody has yet to cover is when you put this hub on, it slides on 3/4 of the way very nicely onto the spline shaft so that it stays aligned. And then it's a very tight fit. And that's fantastic because you don't have any wobble in the steering wheel. It feels really well made. But if you want to take it back off, because the last quarter is very tight, I want to say it's tapered at the end, so you get a very tight fit. It's just darn near impossible to get this hub off, especially if you have something like the turn signal control box already here. You'd either have to take this off and kind of hit it with a mallet off, or I've tried the claw pullers to get it off. It's just incredibly difficult. So my tip is, when you're putting it on, make sure your wheels are aligned straight, just like the other videos show, but don't fully tighten this down until you know you're set, because more than likely you're not going to be able to get this off. And that's a good thing and a bad thing. Getting the steering wheel on and off the hub is easy. It's just these 6 little screws, it pops right off. But that is a tip, that's something that I have never seen come up or somebody mention. But once you cinch this down, expect that to be on there, and you're really not going to be able to easily take it off. Secondly, this is just a simple little mirror from AutoZone. I know that they make those golf cart mirrors that span the whole length of the golf cart, which is fine, but personally for me, I just didn't need a mirror like that. But this golf cart mainly goes around VIR, Virginia International Raceway, and the speed limit's 25. The GPS has said this golf cart does 20, so when I see a car coming up behind me, I let them go, and that mirror is just enough for me to see out the back, just to notice that there's a car and let them by. I didn't really need to go out and spend anywhere from $30 to $50 on a big wide mirror. This was, I think, $12 from AutoZone. Just a simple little bolt through the middle, and I drilled through this bracket, and I'll explain that in a minute, and just put a washer and a locking nut on it, and it holds it pretty well. And I actually have it pushing against the roof, so as you're going over, the mirror doesn't vibrate to where you can't see anything out of it. But it does the job. It's really just to be there as a point of reference so that if I see someone come up behind me, I can let them pass. Now, looking on the back of the mirror, this bracket that I pointed at a moment ago is actually a bracket for a little piece of plexiglass that goes onto these tabs, and then they lock by turning them a quarter turn. This, I believe, was a fleet car, so they use them at golf courses, and they will put these on here so that you could put a map of the golf course or any advertisements like a pro shop or a little restaurant they've got there. If you find that your golf cart has one of these, don't throw this away. This is actually really handy for holding stuff like this. And this is a little, you could say, license plate for running around VIR. They ask you to put it in an area that's easily visible, but it's a sticker, and I don't want to put it on the body just yet because I know I'm going to paint it, and you have to get one every year, and I really don't want to keep pulling a sticker on and off or layering stickers on top of each other. So I've merely just slid it in between the plastic. It fits right on here. I did have to drill a hole through the plexiglass so that it fit over the nut, which is the nut and bolt, which is holding the mirror on. But don't throw that away. That's a neat little thing to have, especially if you need a license. Okay, and lastly, the quick release canopy pins. The reason I did this was the canopy is held on by 8 bolts. They have an Allen head, and then they're a fully capped nut on the back. And there's 8 of those holding the canopy on when it comes from the factory. So I've left the ones on for the handle, but the canopies I took off and I replaced with pins. And I did that so that when I had to load it into a trailer, I can easily take the canopy off because they make it nice and easy to access the 2 bolts here on either side, front and back, and the 2 bolts here for for either side on the front and the back. But you have to do it 8 times for the canopy, and because you have to, get a wrench up in here and hold an Allen key, or if you have a T-handle, it's just cumbersome, it's difficult. So replacing them with the pins made tearing down the canopy very easy, and I'll show you in just a second what I did. Okay, so these are the pins that I use. These are 1/4 inch in diameter, and they are 2 inches long, and they have multi-position holes drilled in, so you can take your cotter pin and have different positions. And the way I have the hardware laid out here is how it's assembled. The washer goes on, then you slide the pin through, then you would put the spring on this way where the fat end is pushing against the canopy. The small washer then goes on and is pushing against the spring, and then the cotter pin goes on. And the cotter pin is actually going on the last one. And the reason I've done all this is if you were to just put the pin in and put the 2 washers on either side and put the cotter pin as close as you can, it still jingles. Everything just rattles, even with the slightest bump, even with the big giant knobby tires. It's enough to make these things jingle like crazy. So that is why I put a spring. It's a tapered spring on there. It just keeps everything taut, and it keeps these things from rattling, but still remains very easy to take 8 of these out in a matter of, I think maybe it takes me 30 seconds to get it all torn down, without it being noisy and just annoying. But those are the simple upgrades and little things that I've done to the golf cart when I first got it. Really simple to do. I got all this at Ace. All this little hardware, I got it all at Ace. The steering wheel and hub is from eBay, cheap and easy to install, and then the mirror is from Advanced Auto, easy enough to install. Just a nut and bolt from Ace Hardware and a little bit of time of just aligning things.